Hello everybody, we're back in the shop again today. Another pouring rain day today. Making some progress on that CJ5 body tub project. And I have a little priming to do. But when I can avoid it, I don't like to paint in the pouring rain. The humidity is way up. And I don't like to shoot, even the primers I don't like to shoot in the rain. So, taking a break from that today. And what you see on the bench here is a CJ5 Fender from that snowblower Jeep project. And I drilled all spot welds out and I have it kind of exploded here on the bench. And the Fender's made up in, you know, like 5 main pieces. You probably recognize this piece. And that piece spot welds onto that. And then what they did was they covered it over with that piece. And then that rolled up here, and you can see what that does. That just ruins everything. I mean, the water gets in there, and the rust starts. I'm trying to make sure you could see everything here. I mean, you can see how bad that is. So, you know, there's not much you can do. The reproduction fenders that they're making over in the Philippines are terrible. They don't match the real fenders. And this is a short fender, and it doesn't have the indent there for the side marker. And you can still buy some shorties with the side marker indent in them. They're super thin metal. You could almost hear them rusting at night. They have that black coating on them. They're terrible, and I'm not going to use one of those. I'm going to try and make a set of fenders here. Here's the inner. That's the inner fender, and that's actually not in too bad a shape. But it has some horrible undercoating on it. And I tried a little bit on another fender to get that off, and all I did was start warping the metal. You know, I might be able to get a chemical and wash that off. I'm not sure. But that's what that's supposed to look like. It's got the right cutout here and stuff. It's got the right depression. The beads are correct. It's an original fender, so naturally it's going to fit. And then finally we've got the hat channel that goes on the inside. So what I've done so far is I made some patterns. And I'm not planning on making a bunch of these because I don't think it's real cost effective, and I'm sure I wouldn't make them for somebody because I've got so much time in them already just on the taking them apart and making patterns and stuff. I mean, it would be cost prohibitive. But I want to show you guys what you can do when you get your metalworking skills down. Basically, you can make anything you want. You know, I mean, you can't really make these and charge somebody what it would cost you for your time in these, you know. But, you know, since it's my own project, I'm going to make a set of fenders. Probably have 2 weeks in it to build one fender. There's an awful lot of work in making these. Some tooling has to be made. But, like I do on every project, I make patterns, and that's that pattern. And they're cardboard. If I was going to make a lot of these, I'd make these out of steel, hang them on the shelf, but it's probably just going to be a one-time thing. And then from there, I made this piece of tooling, and I might be able to show that to you. Let's see if I can get you in there. See that tooling there in the pull max? That's what's going to make the fender detail. So, like I say, there's a lot going on with these fenders. There's quite a bit of planning and work that goes into them. But I'll take you along and show you how I make them. I'm gonna move some stuff off the bench and show you where I'm at so far. I've got those two pieces I made patterns of made already. I'll knock some things down and then show you some pattern making ideas. Okay, after I made the pattern, put some blue layout dye on some sheet metal, and you've seen me do this a bunch of times before. Trace out my pattern and start putting the bends, punch the holes on the Rotex punch, and hope you can see that okay. Check the camera here. Yeah. Then I ran that through the Pullmax, and I used the lip, and I turned this flange here, this curved flange, I turned that on the flanger, and I used that lip and hook it on the die, and then that makes that shape right there. And then I've got this other piece made, and this here, this bend here, this is changing. There's a tight radius here, and then it opens up down there. So that's going to take some careful planning to get it to roll over the top of the fender. But that's where I'm at so far, and I'm just kind of making some test runs here. And I'm going to show you when I start making the next set. I'm going to show you the actual the flanger working and the Pullmax and doing all that. I'm just basically doing some test pieces now, making my final adjustments and fine-tuning my patterns and making sure everything's good. Now that I know the pattern's good, I could easily lay out the next side and make that happen. So this is the left side I'm doing now, and like I say, when I do the right side, I'll give you more shots of the machines working. But for right now, we're just really concentrating on the patterns. Okay, so from here, I've got these two pieces made, and I'm not sure. Normally, I put some weldable primer on both pieces, and then I'd put those together and I spot weld them. But I'm very concerned about weather and moisture and stuff getting in there, so I'm looking into some sheet metal adhesive, like you know, for a while there, body shops, instead of welding, they were gluing panels together, and some of the pull tests were stronger than the welds and this and that. It never really caught on in body shops. There was too much prep and stuff like that, and it was just faster to weld. But I believe if I completely coat both sides of this and bond it together, I believe it'll keep out all the weather, and then we won't wind up with that. So I'm looking into that right now, talking with a couple different manufacturers, and I'm going to decide on that soon. But let me break this down a little bit and show you the next piece I'm working on. Okay, that's the inner fender skirt there. And normally, you've seen me do it in the past again. Normally I take a big sheet of masking paper, something that you cover up the body before you paint and stuff. Comes in big rolls, and I've got some 18-inch rolls. I'd take a piece of paper, I'd lay it on there, and this is just a little piece of paper to show you. You'd lay that piece of paper on there, you'd make little tucks here where you think you need to shrink, and try and get it to sit right on there, and depending on where you put the paper, you know, you really got to fuss with it to get it to sit down. So I didn't make a paper pattern on this one. I made what's called a flexible shape pattern, and they've been around for many years. Guys have been using these forever. You'll hear a bunch of guys saying that they're the inventor of the flexible shape pattern, but it's been around longer than you can imagine, and they work real good in instances like this. And basically, it's just a flexible shape pattern is made with two different kinds of tape. And a lot of guys don't want to give you the secret of what the tape is, and you know, the guys that call themselves the inventors of this, but it's just a bunch of crap. The first kind of tape you're going to need is this low tack Scotch. It's just a paper tape, barely any tack to it. It doesn't really stick, and it's paper, tears easy. This is your first layer. And you're going to start laying this you're just going to start laying this, go around the perimeter, and you're just going to start making grids. Obviously you do the whole panel, but you're gonna separate them a little bit, and you start making grids. And, you go from top to bottom, side to side. Pick whichever way you want to go. There's no science to it at all. This is 1-inch wide tape, paper tape made by Scotch. If anybody needs the number, I can look it up, but I'm not sure what it is. It's easy to get anywhere online. And then I've just got regular, I don't know what that is, fiberglass reinforced tape or something. It's that packing tape. And it's got the lines in it, super strong. And it's 1-inch wide as well. I don't like the 3/4, it doesn't cover enough ground for me, but the 1-inch wide is good. Any bigger than that is too big. And you're going to run the opposite direction with this. Cut it off and cover the whole entire panel. It takes a while, but you'll have a nice pattern when you're done. And very good for a part like this. Now I've got a pattern made. I don't know what to do with it. Hang in there, let me find it. Got a pattern made for this. And like I say, you can spend a full day making a pattern, making the tape all perfect and this and that. You don't have to do that. You just need to lay a grid work of tape down one way, come over and lay a grid work of tape the other way. Don't overlap stuff and don't get big built up pieces, and just take your time, but you don't have to make a masterpiece out of the pattern. Okay, now that's the pattern I made. Kind of rough looking, but you can see the white tape in there. Some guys will keep these lines perfect, maybe 3/16 all the way through. It doesn't really matter. You're just trying to get a pattern here. Now that goes on there. This whole thing is going to be taped. So it's going to be, where this packing tape is going to stick to the fender. You peel it off carefully. And then what I do, I take a little powder or a little dust or something. You see that here? There's still a little on there. Take that and I dust my pattern on the inside so there's no stickiness left. Now I can work that pattern. Everything lays in there. I know exactly where my depression is going to be here. I know where my edge is to start flanging. I know where my beads are. I made some heavy black lines there to see the beads. They run off on an angle here when they get down to the bottom. I'm right on my flange line there. And as I'm shaping this piece, you could take this thing, fold it all up, make a mess of it, and then just lay it back on there. And I know it fits this fender. I know it fits the original fender perfect. So as I'm shaping it, if this area is not high enough, you're going to feel it. You're going to be able to push the pattern down. Complex parts like this, it's pretty nice to use a flexible shape pattern. They work out real nice. You know exactly where you're going. You could creep up on your part a little bit at a time, whether you're doing it on a power hammer, an English wheel, anything like that. You can really creep up on that and know exactly where you have to bring the metal up or stretch it out and bring it down a little bit. On a part like this, a flexible shape pattern is wonderful. It works real good. They're easy to make. You can get the tape. I buy it in bulk. I buy a lot of rolls of this tape because I actually use it for packing up boxes when I'm shipping out lube and stuff. And the paper tape I buy by the case as well. It's cheaper. You can check Amazon or any place like that. But you can see, we know everywhere we need to be with our shaping. Everything is in there. And like I say, we can take this, we can fold it right up, stick it in the drawer, and every time we take it out, we know that it's going to fit. Because the tape holds everything in place. So, just keep the pattern, in a safe place, and you can have it for years. And like I say, run the tape however you can. Don't do a lot of overlapping, but just take your time, make a pattern, and when you're shaping, just work from your, work off your pattern. Keep laying it on your part. Check it out, see where you're raising metal, and you'll get there. It's quite a lot of work to make this shape. It's a complex shape here. there's a lot going on there. A lot of areas need to be raised up quite high, and it just took a second and a press to pop that out. You can see all the wrinkled metal here where metal had somewhere to go. Had to have somewhere to go. It's all overlapped and wrinkled. Quite a bit of wrinkling up on the top here. But they just smacked that in the press and out it came. I'm going to make that in one piece, and it's quite a big piece, but I'll just take my time and I'll show you guys along the way how it goes. But just want to introduce you a little bit to a flexible shape pattern if you haven't used them before. Not a bad way to go on a complex part like that, and I think you'll have good luck with it if you try it.